To cache the Bill.com API SDK, follow these steps. First, understand the basics of caching and its benefits. Caching is a technique used to store frequently accessed data in a temporary storage location, reducing the need to query the original data source. This improves performance and reduces latency. Next, choose a caching strategy that suits your needs. There are two main caching strategies: read-through caching and write-through caching. Read-through caching caches data when it is read from the API, while write-through caching caches data when it is written to the API. To implement caching for the Bill.com API SDK, start by installing a caching library. There are several caching libraries available, such as Redis or Memcached. Choose one that fits your programming language and environment. Once the caching library is installed, configure it to connect to your caching server. This typically involves setting the cache server URL, port, and authentication credentials. After configuring the caching library, modify your code to use the caching library when making API calls to the Bill.com API SDK. This typically involves wrapping your API calls in a caching function that checks the cache before making the API call. For example, when retrieving a list of invoices, check the cache first to see if the data is already cached. If it is, return the cached data. If not, make the API call to the Bill.com API SDK, cache the response, and return the data. Best practices for caching the Bill.com API SDK include setting a time to live for cached data, so it expires after a certain period, and using a caching key that uniquely identifies the cached data. By following these steps and best practices, you can effectively cache the Bill.com API SDK, improving performance and reducing latency. Remember to monitor your cache hit ratio and adjust your caching strategy as needed to optimize performance.